Good morning. Following 30 months of trade pact negotiations, Korea and China announced a de facto conclusion of the free trade agreement. Sales of this chocolate-covered snack spike around November 11th, a quirky celebration of sorts. Its popularity has grown overseas as well. And that's not all. Improving the health of one of the most important organs that we take for granted, keeping your eyes healthy. Continue on the trip to Yeongwon and visit one of the 10 most scenic spots in the area and watch the gold diggers in action on Korea Today, Tuesday, November 11th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all. Welcome to Korea Today. I'm Kim Min-jung with Kim Young and Jin-ju. A flurry of diplomacy in the Chinese capital of Beijing, where the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum is underway. And President Park Geun-hye had a busy day yesterday.
Exactly.
President Park Geun-hye, who had refused to hold summit talks with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, had a chance to have a one-on-one with him as they were seated right next to each other at a gala dinner yesterday. And according to the Presidential Office of Cheongwade, they exchanged views on a variety of issues yesterday.
And of course, neither of the leaders have had summit talks ever since they did take office, and the chilly relations do continue between Korea and Japan. But Korea does insist that there are certain matters that does need to be dealt with before an actual summit does occur.
That's right, including the military enslavement of Korean women, that issue, and the two leaders agreed to encourage the high-level talks on that specific topic. And earlier that day, President Park sat down with Chinese President Xi Jinping and concluded a free trade agreement, ending their 2.5 years of tough negotiations. The announcement came during face-to-face talks between Presidents Park Geun-hye and Xi Jinping ahead of the official opening of the APEC summit in Beijing. The two leaders also discussed the possibility of holding a three-way foreign ministers meeting with Japan. Our presidential office correspondent Choi Yu-sun, who's traveling with the president, joins us on the line. Good morning to you, Yu-sun.
Good morning, guys. Well, it was a big announcement, wasn't it? But widely expected after the two presidents agreed to conclude their free trade deal within this year, back in July, when President Xi visited Seoul. And China is Korea's biggest trading partner, accounting for 1/5 of total trade volume. And analysts forecast Korea's GDP will expand by 1 to 2% after the free trade pact goes into effect. Seoul and Beijing say they will remove tariffs on more than 90% of their previously agreed products over the next 2 decades. And rice, a super sensitive product for Korean farmers, has been completely excluded from the agreement altogether.
Yu-sun, rice, of course, is one of the most contentious issues and was during the trade negotiations with China and much of the agricultural products for that matter.
Right. So we put protecting the agriculture sector as its first priority, excluding rice, along with more than 600 other major agriculture, livestock, and fisheries products. And this while not seeking advantages from Korea's strengths in automobiles and LCD, which are already customized for local production. In fact, Korea's latest pact contains the smallest number of agricultural products subject to tariff removal. China's stringent customs clearance has been eased for Korean firms, and a great deal of the Chinese service sector will be opened up to Korean investors. With its 13th bilateral FTA, Korea has secured free trade with pretty much all of the world's major economies, such as the U.S., the EU, ASEAN, and China, further bolstering its global trade network.
And the two leaders also discussed the diplomatic and security issues, regional issues in Northeast Asia. More can you tell us?
President Park and Xi agreed that they should look into a tripartite foreign ministers meeting with Japan before the year's end. Now, historical and territorial differences, of course, in Northeast Asia have soured ties and at times caused tensions here. But this and President Xi's meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe Monday suggests that regional diplomacy may be gaining a slight momentum. In fact, as you mentioned earlier, President Park, who still hasn't held a one-on-one meeting with Abe, sat next to him at the Ep699 gala dinner, and the two discussed encouraging officials involved in high-level talks to make progress resolving Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women. And President Park is also expected to meet U.S. President Barack Obama today, where they are likely to focus on security issues pertaining to the Korean Peninsula. This was Choi Yu-sun reporting on President Park's summit meeting with the Chinese president at the APEC Beijing summit.
Now, news of the outline agreement on a free trade deal between Korea and China has sent Korea's benchmark Kospi up, breaking the 1960 mark during trading on Monday, finishing 1% higher than Friday's close. Now, Monday's market figures indicate that as of now, there is high anticipation that this deal will help give a boost to the economy. For a closer look into this broader free trade agreement that was reached yesterday, we're now joined by Professor Yang Jun-seok from the Catholic University of Korea here in the studio today. Good morning.
Morning.
So let's get straight to the point. How much of a leg up will this deal give to Korean companies in the Chinese market, and what kind of effect would it have on the Korean economy?
Well, when the negotiations started, one of the research institutes estimated that if the agreement is signed, then in about 5 years, you would have about 1% additional growth in GDP, and in 10 years, cumulatively about 3% growth in GDP. So that's a big effect right there. But also, there are individual goods which are going to be helped by more exports to China. But I think where it's going to be really useful for Korean firms in the future is actually in the services and investment into China. Mm-hmm. The FTA, the comprehensive FTA, also acts as a service, a trade agreement, and a investment agreement. So I think that's where for all the sort of the good things for the medium-term future lies.
Mm-hmm. But when we compare it with other FTAs that Korea has with other countries, the number of agricultural products subject to tariff removal was the least compared to the other FTAs. So will this actually protect Korea's farming industry, and will it be enough?
Okay, well, the government has stated that 60% of agriculture, when you look at it from import volume, will be off limits to tariff liberalization. Now, as an economist, that does not make me happy. Mm-hmm. Usually, if you want to have a big effect from FTAs, you want to open all the areas where you're not very good at. So in that sense, I think this FTA doesn't open as much as it should, but politically speaking, because you've just eliminated so many items from liberalization agenda, I think most of the really sensitive agricultural goods has been excluded. So it should not cause that much problems there. But I should also point out that this wasn't cost-free to Korea. Mm-hmm. One of the give and takes during this negotiation was that in order for Korea to have so much protection here, we had to give them have them maintain protections for LCD screens and automobiles, completed automobiles. So it hasn't been costless, and I personally wish it would have liberalized more rather than less.
Mm-hmm. And for China, Korea is not that big of a market. So why is Korea-China FTA so important for Beijing?
Well, it's not exactly not important to China because Korea's, from China's point of view, Korea is their fourth largest exporter, and we're actually their largest importing partner. So we're not a small country in that standard. If you look at the FTAs that China has signed so far, then we're next to ASEAN, which is a group of 10 countries, next to ASEAN, we're the largest FTAs in terms of GDP size. Also, they want to take the lead in FTA negotiations as well as sort of political leadership in the area. So this FTA will advance their agenda quite a bit against their diplomatic competition with Japan. And also the eventual goal of all these FTAs is to sign what they call FTAAP, FTOP,
Right.
which is the FTA for all the APEC countries. And I think this will give them sort of a heads up in sort of competing what should be included in that FTOP.
And the two sides still have some fine-tuning to do on the agreement. So what are some of the challenges the two countries face in getting this trade deal come into effect?
Well, for Korea, even though we excluded so much from the agricultural market, there is still some market openness. Also, the light manufacturing industries where you have a lot of labor, I think unions are not going to be very happy. So we're going to have a tough job in convincing the National Assembly that this is something that is desirable. So that's a problem that I foresee. There's going to be resistance from farmers and the labor unions, and we'll have to see how they approach it in the National Assembly.
All right. Thank you, Professor Yang, as always, for your insight this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jinju. Well, today is that day when many give each other chocolate-covered stick snacks.
I haven't gotten one yet.
Pepero, which one do you want? You got the smaller
I'll take
one.
the smaller one. The smaller ones actually taste a lot better.
The big ones, yeah, I don't know what this is. But this day sees sales of the sticky snacks greater than the sales of chocolates and candies for Valentine's Day,
It's become a very big de facto holiday type of thing now. That's on domestic soil, but what about its popularity abroad? Now, our Shin Se-min is standing by at a convenience store with some of these chocolate-covered crackers to report on the popularity of not only these snacks, but the growing positive consumer sentiment on Korean food products abroad. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. What many Koreans would assume as a nation's own celebratory day, Pepero Day that is, it isn't only confined to the nation. Online shoppers living outside of Korea have been showing more interest to the nation's very own Pepero Day, as well as other food products. It is celebrated as Pepero Day on November 11th each year, as the snack resembles the once in the date. It is a day when those living in Korea stock up on Pepero snacks to hand out to friends and loved ones. This special day is a brainchild of Lotte Confectionery, which manufactures the Pepero snack. The day has been celebrated since the early 90s, starting out as a marketing tool to drive up sales. It has worked as sales of Pepero spike every time late October and early November rolls around. The popularity has also expanded to other countries. According to online retail shopping mall G-Market, sales of Pepero snacks and related products in its global shop that caters to foreigners in Chinese and English has topped the list of processed food products over the past month. But the growth expands far beyond Pepero. Last month, total sales of processed Korean food products surged over 160% on month.
Our foreign customers have been shifting from the usual cosmetics and clothing they normally buy to Korean food. With Pepero, advertisements and online promotions have played a large part in the trend. But in general, customers have greater trust now in Korean products, especially when it comes to food.
Sales of food items listed in the G-Market Global Shop over the first 10 months of this year rose 57% compared to the same period last year. From Korean snacks like chocolate and instant noodles to seasoned liver, red chili paste, and even fermented seafood products, the list goes on.
I often buy Korean food off the internet, especially salt-fermented seafood. It was a little difficult to get my hands on it not that long ago, but now it only takes 3 to 5 days to get when I buy it online.
Making online purchases easier is a key to accelerating the market. Online retail shopping malls like G-Market and Interpark, another major industry player, now provide their services in multiple languages and have incorporated easier payment systems. They're also speeding up their distribution process. Malltail, a direct purchasing website, recently partnered up with the Korea Postal Service, making shipping easier for a number of products, even fresh produce. And now the online retailer has been improving its delivery system to include refrigeration capabilities. Soon, Maltail hopes to be able to ship some 8,000 local specialty products overseas.
Considering that the majority of the shopping exports are being made to China and the level of their spending on Korean products, whether it be cosmetics or pepero, the sales will most likely surge. If their interest in Korean food products continues, it will definitely influence Korea's food industry.
The direct online shopping market currently stands at around $340 million, but experts fully expect that number to rise by the end of this year. And since Seoul and Beijing have concluded free trade negotiations that will remove tariffs on more than 90% of products, meaning more Chinese consumers will visit Korean online retailers to fill up their shopping carts.
Well, Semin, yes, you did mention it, the bilateral FTA agreement between Korea and China. Now, the question is, how much of an effect is this going to have in the terms of direct online shopping? Now, did the professor have anything to say about yesterday's settlement in relation to this?
Yes, he said it will have an impact on the nation's online retail industry, but only to a certain extent. Professor Bin said that it won't make much of a difference when it comes to low cost or small purchases, as it is already making its way to other countries with no tariff. But it becomes a different story if consumers choose to spend more cash on pricier items like electronic goods and home appliances. He said the Korean economy, the Korean domestic economy, may experience a surge in sales as the surge in sales of pricier home appliances make their ways to foreign countries more frequently thanks to the lower tariff.
I mean, it seems like it began with Korean drama and K-pop and then to Korean clothes and cosmetics and so on and so forth. And now the food, what kind of industries should be prepared in the future?
Well, to my surprise, it was the kitchen appliances. Now, this projection comes from the nation's major online retailer, G-Market. And the data by the G-Market says that they have seen a lot of increase in their sales of Korean food condiments, which made them to think that it is that a lot of their consumers are cooking Korean food at home, leading to such increase. So it only makes sense that a lot of foreign online shoppers cooking Korean food at home will need Korean kitchen appliances, guys.
Well, not only those appliances and the food seems to be readily available. Thank you very much, Semin, for that report. And maybe you could pick up a couple of those peperos and give them to us when you get back over here. That was Shin Semin with a report on direct online shopping on domestic soil from international countries.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers now. And the image of Korean President Park Geun-hye and Chinese President Xi Jinping decorating all the front pages this morning. You heard all the details earlier on in the program. Let's just get a check on how a couple of the papers are eyeing this matter. Firstly, on 중앙일보 at the top. And the headline says, Korean economy rides on dragon's back. Now, the dragon referring, of course, to China. Looking at these sub-headlines, they say that this is Korea's third mega free trade deal that has been reached following FTAs with the U.S. and the EU, the three biggest economic blocs. Now, the paper also emphasizes that if Korea is unable to improve its industrial competitiveness, it might get sucked into the black hole of China's economic power. Meanwhile, on 동아일보, another issue that was brought up yesterday at the meeting as well between the two leaders. This is titled Korea-China Vow to Work Harder on North Korea Denuclearization. Now, the two sides agreed also yesterday that they will step up efforts to encourage North Korea to abandon its nuclear weapons programs. They further decided to hold consultations to resume dialogue so that they make progress in denuclearizing North Korea and stop Pyongyang from advancing its nuclear capability. Now, turning to some domestic issues onto 조선일보, we'll take a look at this side story. regarding the sunken Seoul-ho ferry. Now, this is called government to announce conclusion of Seoul-ho ferry search today. And these sub-headlines, they say Minister Lee Ju-young of the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries is to address the nation today regarding the possible halt of search operations as well as plans on the salvage operations of the ill-fated ferry. Furthermore, the families of the passengers still officially listed as missing are expected to make an important announcement as well this morning. And finally, on to the Mail Business newspaper, to a headline here in the center regarding Apple Pay. It reads, Apple Pay's subtle arrival in Korea, threat to local mobile payment services. So Apple Pay is a mobile payment and digital wallet service by Apple that lets users make payments with their handsets, including the iPhone 6. Now, Apple has been eyeing the possibility of launching Apple Pay in Korea, and although the service hasn't been officially launched here just yet, it is already being used. Some local merchants of Home Plus, Starbucks, and GS25 convenience stores have adopted Visa PayWave, which is Visa's NFC mobile payment application, which recognizes U.S. Visa cards in conjunction with Apple Pay. Now, this is how the mobile payment system has been steadily making way out here with the launch of iPhone 6 last month, putting Korean financial companies and their domestic e-pay services into rough waters. And that was a look at our local headlines for this Tuesday. Now following are the stock numbers from Monday.
Well, today is not just Pepero Day, it's also 농업인의 날, or the Farmers' Day.
That's
dedicated for farmers across
That's right.
the country.
All the farmers out there that are spending the agricultural season farming and harvesting, thank you for that. Today also happens to be another day. It's Karetok Day, which
That's
is
right.
Rice Cake Day, but it's the white ones that look just like this, right?
Good one there. You need another one, though, 11.
Exactly.
Right? We'll take a look at the weather conditions for today with our Chun Sung-cho, who joins us from outdoors. Good morning to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yes, we're starting off this morning with cold conditions at 7 degrees Celsius here in Seoul. Mercury levels fell even below freezing in some cities. Temperatures these days seem to be on a roller coaster throughout the day with cool mornings and warm afternoons. Today, the temperature gap between highs and lows will grow even bigger than yesterday, as much as 20 degrees Celsius apart in Bunga city of Gyeongsang-buk-do province, for example. These kind of conditions make people more susceptible to catching a cold, so especially if you're around the inland areas of the southern regions where the temperature difference is the biggest, take good care of your health. This morning, we have mostly clear skies covering the entire country as of now, but the approaching low-pressure system from northern China will bring in more clouds as we move further into the day. Late at night, it'll start raining along the west coast of northern Gyeongsang-buk-do province, which will turn nationwide tomorrow. With that, let's take a closer look at today's temperature readings. Midday highs hover around the mid-teens all around the country except for Busan, where it's the warmest at 19. Seoul will be relatively warm with plenty of sunshine at 15 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to Minja.
Let's now get a check on some of the global headlines we're following this hour. We'll connect to our Eunice Kim, who joins us from the News Center for that. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Good morning to you.
Now, another devastating attack in Nigeria, this time at a boys' school that killed some 47 people there.
You're right, and police say the suicide bomber who was dressed as a student was among those 47 killed. 79 others were wounded. The attack happened in Nigeria's northeastern town of Potiskum, tearing through an assembly hall at the government science secondary school, and it marked the 7th attack on a school this year. Boko Haram is the prime suspect here once again. The extremist group has targeted schools in its 5-year insurrection to build what it views as an Islamic state in which boys receive only Islamic education and girls do not attend school. In reaction to the latest deadly attack, Yobe State's governor has closed all public schools near Potiskum. A ceasefire had been declared by the Nigerian government 3 weeks ago, but that claim was ridiculed as a lie a couple weeks after by Boko Haram's leader in a video.
In the meantime, the U.S. is greeting a much earlier winter season than usual, with snowfall already hitting parts of the country.
You bet. The Carolinas actually saw snowfall 10 days ago, enough to trigger downed power lines, and that cold front is forecast to be expanded to much of the East Coast, with an Arctic blast to affect most of the country by the end of this week. Now, that is the widest and earliest cold snap the U.S. has seen since the 1990s. Snow is already falling in parts of the central U.S. Up to 60 centimeters of snow is forecast from the Dakotas to northern Wisconsin to upper Michigan, affected by a lower pressure system coming out of the northern Rocky Mountains. And snow began to fall. As snow began to fall, Minnesota's state police says it received reports of more than 180 accidents throughout the state since early Monday morning. At least 150 flights have been canceled at the Twin Cities, where forecasters say we'll see as much as 30 centimeters of the white stuff into Tuesday morning. So, Minjung, certainly if you know of anybody who is traveling to that area, make sure to check the local weather forecast.
That's right. The last time I checked, it's November, but it looks like Christmas over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Eunice.
Sure thing.
Coming up later on Korea Today. Today is National Eye Health Day, believe it or not, and the perfect time to think about whether your eyes are in good shape. Bad habits can blur your vision and can lead to painful conditions. But how can you improve the health of your eyes? We have some ideas for a better outlook, so stay tuned.
Well, if you don't have an eye for history or the heart for history, then history could be a subject that's difficult to learn, memorize, or even have an interest in, right? But the conventional ways of learning might include textbooks, but if you learn through other sources such as artwork, that might be an interesting way to learn that. And we have something like that for you. Joining us is Im Yoon-hee. Good morning.
Good morning. So you're absolutely right. So the National Museum of Korea has been quite busy over the past few years with some research on this particular exhibition. Now, it's a collection of artwork gathered by Japan during the colonial period of Korea, and more specifically, it was gathered by the Chosun Government General of Museum, which was established here on the peninsula in 1915. And now, almost 100 years later, they have something to share with us. Take a look.
East Asia is home to some of the world's most fascinating works of ancient art, and many of these masterpieces have been collected and studied over time at the National Museum of Korea. And now they're on display as part of a new limited exhibition that aims to shed light on the various artworks recovered during colonial Korea. In the span of just 35 years, the Government General Museum of Korea at the time collected rare Asian artifacts found across the Asian continent, from the ancient tombs of the Han Dynasty in China to the Korean peninsula and shores of Japan.
During those days, Kita-Kyushu was closely related to the Korean peninsula. Many moved from Kita-Kyushu to Korea, leading to similarities between the cultures.
The museum then changed its name to the Yi Royal Family Museum of Art and purchased many other ancient relics, like the pensive Bodhisattva, one of the most valuable sculptures of Chinese Buddhist art in Korea. And these works, along with around 200 other pieces, are now a source of better understanding the turbulent times of colonial Korea, from an art collector's perspective.
So was there a story behind the collection of the artworks? Is there a reason why?
So researchers said that they believe that these works were collected to sort of justify the colonization of Korea at that time. And so maybe they're hoping maybe they can prove that through these artworks, and they really have come to that conclusion.
Okay, so how did it exactly fall into the hands of Korea?
So after the end of the colonization period, the National Museum of Korea was established in 1945, and that's when they took over the artworks as well. And so they took them a long time to kind of gather all the artworks and, you know, categorize them and to research them, and now we can see them at the exhibition.
Well, not just a lesson in art, but a lesson in history as well. Thank you very much for that report, Uni.
My pleasure.
All right, stay with us on Korea Today because we are going back to Yeonghwa and we're going to be checking out that area that used to be an old coal mine, and actually it has a lot in store because some of these guest houses are very, very different. As you saw last week, sleeping on the tracks in a train car turned guest house, travel back in time in a once booming coal town. Alex and Derek, they continue their journey in Yeonghwa and watch them dig some gold.
Over the weekend, the bakery fair was held at a small cafe in Seoul.
Right, and it was individuals and small merchants who showed off their special recipes of muffins, cakes, and eclairs, my favorite. We'll go over to our son, Miss Sorang, for the details. Good morning, Miss Sorang.
Good morning, guys. That's right. So it was the 5th annual 과자전, or the cake and snack fair. So once again, there were long lines of people who couldn't get enough of the delicious treats. Now, all the snacks and all the products were unique and handmade, but here are some of my favorites. The first one is this. It's called Push Pop, and it's a cake inside a push-up container where you push the stick up so that you can eat it on the go without the need for utensils or a plate.
That's genius.
The next is this lemon cake. Now, including this one seller had 200 different types of vegan cakes, so no butter, no milk, no eggs. And because of this, the recipes took a bit longer to perfect, but they were all a huge hit at the fair. And this last one, it looks like chimek, or chicken and beer, but the beer is actually made from apple cinnamon jelly, and the chicken is made from marshmallows coated in caramel, chocolate, and cornflakes.
Wow.
So cute.
That's some really creative ideas there.
Right.
My favorite's this push-up. Like I said, genius idea, and it comes in single portions. So
and the colors.
Right.
It's very cute. Now, keeping with the food theme, you can now enjoy Korean strawberries in Vietnam. So after 2 years of extensive trial and error, they have successfully cultivated a Korean variety of strawberries, the Cô Ha, in Vietnam. And according to Vietnamese locals who've tried them, the Cô Ha is a lot sweeter and a lot juicier than the local Vietnamese strawberries. So even though it will be a bit more expensive, there's expected to be a very high demand for them. Now, if you guys remember, just 10 years ago, most of the strawberries, up to 90% of the strawberries grown in Korea, were foreign varieties. But since then, Korea's developed many of its own, and we now export strawberries to not only Vietnam, but China, Japan, Russia, Cambodia, and so on as well.
Korean strawberries are known to be so sweet.
Right.
So good.
Now, wrapping up, we just have 2 days to go until this year's 수능, or the college entrance exams, and the oldest applicant this year is 82 years old.
Wow.
So Cho Hee-ok is the lady, and she's the second youngest of 9 brothers and sisters. And when she was younger, she couldn't go to school because it was during the Korean War, and she had to earn money for her family. Since then, since she was younger, she's been working as a seamstress for the past 70 years, and her dream is to study fashion design at university.
Wow, that's a source of inspiration
It
right
is.
there. Right.
And it shows you that life really is about learning.
We should do a one-on-one with her sometime later.
We should this year. Do a little on point with her.
After she passes the test and gets a good grade. Thank you, Miss Sorang.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Korea Today viewers. Now, did you know today is National Eye Health Day according to the Korean Ophthalmological Society? Well, that's perfect for me because I've been experiencing a lot of eye problems due to smartphone usage and contact lenses. So without further ado, let's go learn more about today's topic, eye health. So far this year, medical care expenses for eye diseases and conditions have seen the greatest year-on-year increase, standing at 14.7%. The reason why people seek medical assistance differs depending on the age group.
I'm here because I started seeing weird things in my range of vision. My eyes are dry and they sting, so that's why I came.
I came because my eyes are sore and dry from using my smartphone too much.
80% of those who sought medical help for myopia are in their teens. In the case of eye infection, people in their 20s and 30s made up for 35%, and those at age 60 and over accounted for 86% of patients with macular degeneration. But the age group of patients visiting because of macular degeneration is getting younger. 55-year-old Choi Jae-hoon has been diagnosed with the condition and says it has caused a great deal of discomfort.
When I'm looking at the GPS device, the image gets blurry and I can't focus, so it's very inconvenient.
Macular degeneration refers to a disease in which the macula, or the center of the visual field, experiences damages and causes visual impairment. If severe, it can also lead to a complete loss in eyesight.
There are a lot of causes behind macular degeneration, and the leading cause is aging. What happens is the pigments that protect the macula become weaker, and this causes degeneration in the macula. Smoking, family history, high blood pressure, high levels of cholesterol can also be factors.
I experienced what it might look like. As you can see on the screen, objects become distorted and you notice black specks. What is the cause behind the condition? Macular degeneration may lead to loss in vision, so we look at how to diagnose and treat the condition.
Well, these days it's hard to be in an environment where you're not putting a lot of strain to your eyes, right? So is this okay? A doctor joins us by the name of Kim Min from Samsung Severance, Gangnam Severance Hospital. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. Number one, I think the question is, I've actually been able to realize that I do have some kind of degeneration. I can't see things that are up close. Now, when you do have trouble with vision, a lot of people think that it just has something to do with aging. How do you know the difference whether it's from aging or macular degeneration?
Right. That's a very good question. If it's just from a normal aging process, then you will start noticing symptoms when you have trouble reading letters in a book or newspapers, for example. But if it's from a macular degeneration, it usually occurs after the age of 50 or so. And the symptoms are different. You will have trouble with both near vision and far vision as well. And you will start seeing that images are distorted right in the center of the vision, or sometimes you see very dark spots right in the center of the vision. So the symptoms are very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems that early diagnosis and early treatment would be crucial. So what kind of treatment methods are there?
Right. So back in the days, we used to treat it with focal laser treatments or photodynamic therapy. But nowadays, we usually start up by giving intraocular drug injection every month or so. So it requires a continuous treatment. So if you're found to have macular degeneration at a very early stage, then there's a very good chance that your vision could recover almost up to the level of what it used to be. But if it's found too late at a very advanced stage, then the main goal of the treatment is to basically prevent your eye from getting any worse than it already is.
So prevention there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so LASIK and LASIK now, they've become pretty accepted part of eye corrective surgery. Many people get them, except for eye doctors for some reason. Number one, is that a myth or is that true?
That's a myth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of children, I think they start wearing contact lens, and then sometimes their eyes basically begin to reject the contact lens. That's when people usually choose it, right?
Right.
How early can you get laser corrective eye surgery?
I usually recommend that you wait until the age of 20 to get those refractive surgeries, such as LASIK or LASIK. So if you get those surgeries too early, before the age of 20, then you may have very good, perfect 20/20 vision initially after the surgery. But after a while, you'll start noticing that your vision will get worse again. Then you would eventually end up putting back on your eyeglasses again. So I usually recommend that you become old enough.
Okay, so once you get it to a certain age.
That's the reason I'm maintaining my good eye vision because I got LASIK at 26.
26.
At the age of 26. And in this next report, we're going to look at some of the ways that we can keep our eyes healthy. So why don't you take a look?
There's a method known as eye swimming that is receiving a lot of attention. You submerge your face in lukewarm water and move your eyes around. But is it effective?
In theory, if you conduct eye swimming, it should wash out pollutants and stimulate movement of your eyes, so it will become with benefits. But if you don't do it the right way, it can cause side effects such as infections. So you must consult your eye doctor and then carry it out only if it's right for you.
With growing interest on how to keep your eyes healthy, more devices have also been hitting the shelves. According to the Korean Ophthalmological Science Journal, thermal massage therapy can help dryness in the eyes and enhance functionality in the tear film and the ocular surface. Massaging the muscles around your eyes is also said to help relieve strain. But how does it actually help?
If you stimulate the muscles and blood vessels near the eyes, it helps with blood circulation, which is good for preventing cataracts, glaucoma, and dry eye syndrome. Massaging the area around your eyes regularly helps curb accumulation of fatigue in the eyes, so it improves their overall health.
There's a special method for this eye massage therapy, so how about we take a look at it? Applying pressure to the 정명혈 near the small indentation between the inner tips of the eyes is good. It also helps to press down on the frame around your eyes, or the 태양혈, which is a pressure point located around the temples.
Around the temple here.
So there's some tips to help your eyesight there. But this is a question that I've been kind of wanting to ask. But you see more cases of children, teenagers, people in their younger teens wearing glasses, and you see more frequency of it. I'm not sure if it's biased, but in Korea especially. Now, is there a reason behind this?
Yes, there is actually. It has a lot to do with putting a lot of strain on your eyes. Especially in Korea, teenagers are under a lot of stress to take the college entrance exam. So basically, they spend an enormous amount of time reading books and studying all day long. And when they're not studying and taking a break, they'll take out their smartphones and play games and chat with their friends. So their eyes are basically under constant stress all day long. And that's basically one of the main reasons why there are so many people with the eyeglasses on.
So take away the smartphones and don't study.
Well, I don't know about the don't study, but right, look far and away.
Right. And study and relax your eyes.
Right. And adding to that tip, do you have some other daily tips we can use?
Yeah, because we spend a lot of time, looking at smartphones, computer screens, and reading and doing all those works all day long. So I usually recommend that after spending hours putting a lot of strain on your eyes, you want to take even just for a few minutes of break. And when you take a break, you want to keep your eyes closed just for a few minutes, so that way it will prevent your eyes from drying up and also help you relax your eye muscles a little bit. So I think that could be one of the very helpful tips that you can
close
do
your eyes, as simple as that.
And if you're just too busy, then you want to try to just kind of blink your eyes a little bit. It will help you remoisturize your surface of your eye. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much for those tips, Doctor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, here's one sport that you certainly need a good eyesight for, baseball. As we kick things off with Game 5 of the 2014 Korean Series between the Samsung Lions and the Nexen Heroes, went into the game tied 2-2 in the best-of-7 series. So let's take a look at the highlights from Jamsil Stadium. Now, of course, going to the game here, blanks across the board until the 6th inning. Seogun Chang RBI single to right. Park Hon-do scores and it's 1-0 Samsung. Bottom of the 8th inning, bases loaded, no out. Park Seok-min pops out and it's 1 out. Next batter, Park Hae-min chops one at first base and it's a forced out at home and it's still 2 outs here. Now next batter, Lee Heung-young here and he's going to ground out to second and it's still 1-0 Nexen. Bottom of the 9th inning, man on first and third, 2 outs for Choi Young-woo. That's a fair ball down the right field line and one man scores. Kim Won-go rounds third and the play at the plate safe, and the Samsung Lions win this one at the bottom of the 9th inning 2-1 and takes a 3-2 series lead. All right, staying in baseball for all you MLB fans in the nation, good news as one of the biggest names in Major League history will arrive in Korea later today. Now, arriving at the Incheon International Airport later this morning will be Major League Baseball's career saves leader, Mariano Rivera. The legendary closer will be in Korea and will leave on Saturday as a global ambassador for a sound system company. Now, he plans to visit various tour sites and hold baseball clinics as part of his busy schedule. Now, Rivera, known for his devastating cutter, earned a record 652 saves and 5 World Series titles, all with the New York Yankees. And now shifting over to the 2014-2015 ISU Short Track World Cup, where 17-year-old Shim Seok-hee continues her dominance as she won her 3rd gold medal at the event, as she won the 1,500-meter and the 3,000-meter relay gold after claiming the top podium spot at the 1,000-meter event the day before. And now with that, staying on ice, but over to figure skating now. Russia's Adelina Sotnikova, who won the much-talked-about gold medal during the Sochi Winter Games earlier this year, hasn't competed internationally since then. And it seems like it's going to be the case for the rest of the year. Now, with the Grand Prix event coming up on the 14th, the Russian figure skater has been ruled out for 3 weeks after re-injuring her leg during training. Now, she expressed her disappointment on her SNS page, as reports also state that she might be out for the rest of the year due to the cast on her leg. And now with that said, that is going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
So it's time for our part 2 of our guest house in Yeongwar, and joining us this morning is Alex. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again. Happy Pepero Day. This time we went to the coal mine culture town and got to go into the caves itself. And then, of course, later in the night, we got to see some other cool parts of Yeongwol. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at that? We arrived in Yeongwol, Gangwon-do province, where there's a guest house that was built using train cars. We also visited the coal mine culture town that recreated the village's past as a booming coal town. So what awaits us here?
Dress up like
Suddenly
a miner,
we're given a
dig out
mission,
gold and
so Derek and I move as quickly as we can.
You cheated on this one, right?
I
remember that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So there's an exhibition hall set up in one of the actual old shafts that the miners used to work in. The workplace has been replicated, so you can get a look at what life would have been like.
Ooh, what's that?
Well, I'm busy running around trying to collect the gold, which is part of the competition.
Is that gold or foil?
Whoa. Don't ask questions.
And Derek seems to forget that we're in a competition.
Simulating
Either
a
that or I'm
cave
just
in right
too
here.
competitive.
See, all these pillars are breaking.
He gets to check this out. This is a really cool part. This is simulating a cave-in. Well, not cool from what it was.
And these things, these disasters occasionally do happen.
Unfortunately, that was about a particular disaster, but it's a really cool experience with it. So only after seeing what I found does Derek actually start moving, but it might be a little bit too late.
Two so far.
They actually look like hamburgers.
That's because you're hungry.
Golden nuggets.
1.
Okay.
2.
And Derek ends up with 4. I have 1, 2, 3.
You're such a tease, aren't you?
And as a result, we're actually rewarded with some of the local
It's another
specialties
piece of
from
coal here. Oh, wait a minute. We got something else here. What do we have here?
Another
we
mission.
have
paper. Better.
Paper that says yogurt.
Oh.
Yogurt.
Does that mean they found yogurt in here too?
Well, let me see mine. Brock.
And another piece of paper.
메밀 전병, buckwheat crepe.
메밀 전병. Yeah, that's food
good.
again. Does that mean this is all food here?
Let's find out. Here, I got more to open, so hurry up, would you?
Buckwheat crepe.
This is not real.
Better. That's what you get for cheating.
Cheating? Just being awesome. Pan-fried pancakes made with grains. Yogurt? Is this what you're giving to us? Are we eating this? So yeah, that's what we actually got for it. There's the susu bokumi, which is full of the red beans, and there's also the memil jombyung, full of the chopped up gat kimchi.
Oh wow! Oh, it was. Okay, I know that.
It was something else. And there's also the ilmi dak kanjong, that sweet and sour chicken that's really famous in Yongwon. There's a lot of food, isn't it?
Yeah, you got a lot of food, I would say.
It was actually my first time trying.
Well, this is kind of different. You know, the crepes
How was it?
They've always
really
been kind of
good.
like a sweet flavor, right? This is kind of like a veggie one, I guess you could say. A veggie and a kimchi one.
This was my favorite.
Red bean, something in there. I'm pretty sure it's red bean.
Surprising. It looks plain on the outside, but it's actually really good.
Quite sweet too.
It smells pretty good.
It does.
I'm sure it tastes pretty good too.
Oh, you got to be a good coal miner to work your way up to the top. It's pretty cool though that you can come out here and it comes with like a restaurant. You wouldn't expect a restaurant in this kind of guest house.
That is really cool.
Or most guest house for that matter.
People wouldn't think of a train for a guest house, period, would they?
And it's big. There's a lot of spaces.
Yeah, on
Comes
the
with a
inside of
grill.
one of these cars here, you could fit, man, at least 12 people in there, I would say.
I think you could fit over 80 people in all the cars together.
I'm surprised at all the food that you fit on that
Out of the
table.
10
I'm surprised I fit it in my stomach.
Go to the place that becomes more beautiful at night.
Just when you think you can rest, you
should
get
ask.
permission.
Yeah, how about that guy we met earlier? He seems pretty smart. He would know in this area.
Yeah, of course.
Let's go ask him.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 아, 수고 많으세요. 저기 영월 십경이 뭐예요?
영월에서 유명한 곳을 10군데 정도 이렇게 이제 선정해서 놓은 곳이 이제 있는데 지금 여기 저 게스트하우스 묵는 곳이 그 이름들이 표기된 이름들이 저기 저 영월 식경으로 되어 있어요.
Yongwol is well known for its breathtaking natural scenery, and there's actually 10 places handpicked as the most beautiful spots in the area. From the mountains to the rivers, and as we saw before, also the caves. There's an endless stream of tourists that come to see these spots. And the place that shines more at night, the Byeol Mado Observatory, one of those 10 spots. Here you can look through the 8-meter dome that has virtual stars shining at night, the planetarium, so you can sit back and enjoy the view.
Quite romantic.
That makes sense. Aquarius.
It was really, really nice experience.
Aquarius?
In this case,
Well, that makes
romantic.
sense.
It is romance
Water.
to the extreme.
Aquarius.
A big bro.
In Korean, it's like the water bottle guy.
Yeah, Aquarius.
Aquarius. Yeah, it's cool because when you see them in the actual sky, then you can actually
I'm in
kind of remember the faces.
Oh, really?
and
Gemini.
Put them on there, like
Myself.
superimpose them upon the
Aries.
stars.
Aries?
No way!
Gemini.
The next place offered double the excitement and beauty, and this was by far my highlight.
Dude, that's insane.
Barely, you see it?
Oh yeah, get that.
All right, I'm
We tried our best to share the view with you, but this is all we can get.
That's what we saw there, folks. Can you believe that? Look at that. It doesn't get any closer than that. Only Neil Armstrong
It's
got
different
closer
seeing it
than
live.
this, folks.
It really is.
Yeah.
This looks like our view of Youngwood here, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
we're up there.
Yeah.
I would also come back just to see the moon again.
That was totally
Like,
worth it. I would
it
do it in
was-
a heartbeat.
Like, if anyone, I'll tell my friends they gotta come here because that was so cool. That's something I've always dreamed of. When you're a kid, you want to do that. You want to go to the moon. You want to see stuff. You want to, like, space is the coolest thing out there. This
tell I was
so
a
far
little
for me was the highlight. This was like
I agree. That was
awesome.
Pretty cool.
I'll do it again.
Dorky, aren't you?
I'm a science nerd. Another morning dawns at Sokang Station, and before we wake up, of course, there's another mission. So we have to make our way to another scenic spot in Youngwol. So look forward to more next week. This place is really cool, and it means a lot to Koreans especially.
Wow, so you were fascinated with the moon and the
Yes.
observatory. Tell us more about this place.
Well, Youngwol itself has a lot of beautiful things to see, but the observatory is on this really high mountain. It took forever to get up there, and it's just stunning. And the guide there was really helpful. He was explaining to us where all the stars were, used a laser pointer to actually point up to the sky to tell us what exactly we were looking at. And the moon was, that was the coolest, that was the biggest telescope I've ever seen that I've ever gotten to experience. I didn't think you could find that in Korea.
And I would imagine a lot of people do go there. I mean, tell us about the process over. Is there a lot of people there?
There were a lot of people there, and actually you can go there with a big group of 20 people and spend the night and actually get to see not only the sights on the telescopes, but also the sunrise and the sunset.
Wow.
But you need a big group, and we didn't have that.
Okay, so if you have a big enough group, then you can make those reservations and stay up there for overnight.
And otherwise, you can just go on your own. A lot of people are just up there sightseeing as couples or with a friend.
And you won the competition at the coal mine,
Yes.
and you got a full table of specialties from Gangwon province.
Yes,
You
yes.
already said you liked susubukumi, but
Right.
how about the other dishes?
The chicken was interesting.
Oh,
The chicken
really?
there is supposed to be eaten cold, they said. But I mean, honestly, it was delicious, cold or warm. I
Right.
enjoyed that. And all the other food that was there too. It was really my first time with the memeo pajon, or the jon. And that was also really good. So I definitely recommend if you can go there and go to the market that's down there. They make all of it fresh, and it's just a unique taste to Yeongwol.
Yeah, that chicken, it has that caramelized type of layer
Yeah,
over
yeah.
it, and it's great.
Sweet and sour and
Exactly.
everything.
It's a lot of different
Savory,
flavors.
right. Thank you
definitely.
so much for bringing some.
Oh.
No, I was kidding.
Yeah, thanks for the pepero.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Of
See you
course,
next
thank
week.
You. Of course.
All right, well, that's just about does it for this edition of Korea Today.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.